Okay, prepare yourselves, because what I'm about to tell you is going to sound like something straight out of a soap opera, but I promise you, every single word is true, and it absolutely shattered my world into a million tiny pieces. Can you even imagine dedicating a quarter of a century, 25 long, beautiful, sometimes incredibly challenging years, to one person, building a life, a home, a family with them, only for them to look you in the eye and say they want someone younger? Someone new? That's exactly what happened to me. After everything, all the sacrifices, all the laughter, all the tears, my husband, the man I thought I knew better than myself, told me he wanted a different life, with a different woman. And trust me, I had some things to say that left him utterly speechless. I mean, truly, completely, undeniably, without a single word to utter back. Was I wrong for how I reacted? Tell me, honestly, would you have done the same thing if your entire world had just imploded before your very eyes? So let's rewind a bit. Back to the beginning, before the explosion, before the silence. Mark and I met when we were practically kids, both just out of college, full of dreams and that kind of innocent optimism you only have when you're starting out. I was a budding graphic designer, and he was an ambitious young engineer. We clicked instantly. It wasn't some slow-burn romance. It was a wildfire. We fell in love hard and fast, and within 2 years, we were married. Our wedding was small, intimate, just close family and friends, but it felt like the grandest affair in the world to me. I remember looking into his eyes as we exchanged vows, a promise of forever stretching out before us, and truly believing that forever was a tangible thing, a guarantee. We built our first home together, a modest little place that we poured all our love and meager savings into. We painted walls, planted a garden, and filled it with hand-me-down furniture and endless hopes. Our careers grew alongside our relationship. We supported each other through promotions, layoffs, stressful projects, and late nights. When I wanted to take a risk and start my own small design studio, Mark was my biggest cheerleader, helping me with business plans, late-night pep talks, and even proofreading my proposals. When he faced a tough patch at work, I was there to listen, to encourage, to remind him of his brilliance. We were a team, an unbreakable unit. Our children came along a few years later. First, our daughter, Emily, a vibrant, spirited child who inherited her father's analytical mind and my creative flair. Then, our son, Ben, a thoughtful, quiet soul who loved to read and build elaborate Lego creations. Parenthood changed everything, of course, as it always does. The sleepless nights, the endless juggling of work and school events, the constant worry. It was exhausting, but it was also the most profound joy I had ever known. Mark and I navigated these new waters together. We had our disagreements, our arguments, sure, every couple does. But we always found our way back to each other, our love for our children, and our shared history acting as an anchor. We went on family vacations, celebrated birthdays and holidays with boisterous gatherings, and established our own traditions. Every year, for our anniversary, we'd go back to the small Italian restaurant where Mark first proposed, order the same pasta dish, and reminisce about our journey. It was our special ritual, a testament to our enduring love story. As the kids grew older, more independent, Mark and I started to rediscover parts of ourselves we'd put on hold. We took up hiking, a shared passion from our early days, and enjoyed quiet evenings just talking, or sometimes just being in comfortable silence. Life wasn't perfect, no one's is, but it felt rich, full, and profoundly good. I felt secure, loved, cherished. I truly believed we were in it for the long haul, ready to face old age together, reminiscing about our youth, watching our grandchildren grow. That was my vision, my absolute certainty. Then, about a year ago, things started to shift, subtly at first, like a barely perceptible tremor before an earthquake. Mark began working longer hours, which wasn't entirely unusual, but there was a new intensity to it. He started going to the gym, something he hadn't done consistently in years, and upgraded his wardrobe, trading in his comfortable casual clothes for trendier, more fitted outfits. He started carrying a new, sleeker phone and became meticulously private with it, always keeping it face down, always taking calls in another room. When I asked about the changes, he'd brush them off, saying he was just trying to be healthier, more engaged with his work, getting back to himself. I tried to believe him. I really did. I told myself it was good he was taking care of himself, that maybe we could go to the gym together, that we could explore new restaurants to match his new sense of style. But deep down, a knot of unease began to form in my stomach, tightening with each new unexplained late night, each evasive answer, each hurried goodnight kiss that felt less and less like a kiss and more like a formality. I started noticing other things. He'd forget little details about my day, things he would have always remembered before. Our anniversary ritual at the Italian restaurant? He forgot to make reservations, and when I reminded him, he suggested we just order takeout instead. It felt like a punch to the gut. The comfortable silence we once shared now felt awkward, strained, filled with unspoken questions. I tried to talk to him, to open up, to ask what was going on. I'd say, "Mark, are you okay? You seem distant lately." Or, "Is there something bothering you? You know you can always talk to me." He'd always respond with a variation of, "I'm fine, just stressed with work," or "Nothing's wrong, you're overthinking." His eyes, though, they told a different story. There was a guardedness there, a wall that had never existed between us before. My friends noticed it too. They discreetly asked if everything was all right, if Mark was just going through a midlife crisis. I'd shrug, offer a weak smile, and say I hoped it was just that, a phase. But my heart knew better. The dread became a constant companion, a heavy weight in my chest. I started losing sleep, replaying every interaction, every conversation, searching for clues, for an explanation. My imagination ran wild, painting scenarios I desperately didn't want to believe. Then came the day I found it. It was a Tuesday, a day like any other, or so I thought. Mark had left for work, and I was cleaning up, tidying his side of the bed. As I picked up a book from his nightstand, something small and metallic glinted beneath it. It was a silver earring, a delicate hoop with a tiny, almost imperceptible sapphire chip. It wasn't mine. I don't wear hoops, and I certainly don't own any sapphire jewelry. My blood ran cold. My hands started to tremble, and a wave of nausea washed over me. I sat down heavily on the edge of the bed, the small, glittering piece of metal feeling like a lead weight in my palm. This wasn't a midlife crisis. This wasn't stress from work. This was something far more insidious, something that ripped the comfortable blanket of my life right off. The evidence, stark and undeniable, was right there. I held onto that earring all day, clenching it so tightly my palm ached, the sapphire digging into my skin. I didn't cry. I was beyond tears. I was in a state of shock, a hollow ache replacing all other emotions. I knew, with absolute certainty, what it meant. And I knew I couldn't ignore it, couldn't pretend anymore. That evening, when Mark came home, I was waiting for him, the earring placed carefully on the kitchen counter, next to his usual spot for his keys. He walked in, gave me a perfunctory kiss, and started to talk about his day, but then his eyes landed on the earring. The blood drained from his face. His confident demeanor crumpled, replaced by a look of sheer panic and guilt. The silence that followed was deafening, suffocating. "What is this, Mark?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper, though it felt like a roar in my ears. He stammered, tried to grab the earring, tried to concoct some flimsy excuse about finding it at work, but the words died in his throat. He couldn't lie, not when he was caught red-handed, not when his guilt was practically radiating off him. He just stood there, looking at the floor, then at me, then at the floor again, his shoulders slumped. Finally, he looked up, and in his eyes I saw not regret, but a kind of weary resignation. I met someone, he confessed, his voice barely audible. She's younger. She makes me feel alive again. Alive again. Those words cut deeper than any knife. Had I made him feel dead? Had our 25 years together been some kind of slow, suffocating decline for him? He went on to explain that he had fallen for her, that he wanted to leave, that he wanted a fresh start. He said all the cliches, the ones you hear in bad movies. "It's not you, it's me." I need to find myself. I want to be happy. Happy. At my expense. At our children's expense. My mind raced, trying to process the enormity of what he was saying. 25 years. Our children. Our home. Our future. All gone just like that because he wanted to feel alive again with someone younger. I felt a cold fury bubbling up inside me, a fire that had been smoldering finally erupting. But I kept my voice steady, remarkably calm, even to my own surprise. I knew this was a moment, a pivot point, and I needed to be clear-headed. So that's the situation I was in, standing there, the man I loved for half my life admitting he wanted to discard me for someone else, for a younger model. My heart was absolutely shattered, my mind reeling, but a strange clarity had also settled over me. I had to make a choice. Before I tell you what happened next, what I said to him that left him utterly speechless, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have begged? Would you have cried? Would you have screamed? Or would you have found a way to reclaim your dignity, even in the face of such devastating betrayal? Let me know your thoughts right now, because what followed was something I had been subconsciously preparing for. Even as I denied it was coming, I looked at him, really looked at him, not with the eyes of a heartbroken wife, but with the eyes of someone evaluating a business proposition, someone who had just discovered they'd been defrauded. The initial shock had given way to a profound sense of anger, yes, but also a stark, cold calculation. He wanted a fresh start? He wanted to feel alive again? He wanted to erase 25 years of shared history and simply walk away from his responsibilities? Not on my watch. Not without understanding the true cost of his desires. I took a deep breath, and I began to speak. My voice was calm, almost chillingly so, devoid of any tremor or emotional inflection. Mark, I started. I hear you. You want a fresh start. You want to feel alive again. You want to leave our life, our family, our 25 years together, for someone else. I understand. He flinched at the deliberate emphasis on our 25 years. But I continued. What you don't seem to understand is that 25 years of partnership, of building a life, doesn't just get erased because you decided to have a midlife crisis. You want to walk away? Fine. But you're not walking away empty-handed, and neither am I. I paused, letting my words sink in. He looked confused, still reeling from the confession, perhaps expecting tears, begging, or a furious tirade. He got none of that. Let's talk about what feeling alive again is going to cost you, Mark, I said, stepping closer, my voice gaining a quiet intensity that clearly unnerved him. Because it's not just about packing a bag and moving in with your new, younger girlfriend. It's about dismantling an entire life that we built together. You want to leave? Fine. But every single asset we own, every penny we've saved, every investment we've made over the last 2.5 decades, half of that is mine. And I will fight tooth and nail to ensure I get every single cent I am legally entitled to. You want your freedom? It comes at a very, very hefty price. His eyes widened. He opened his mouth, but no sound came out. Our home, I went on, gesturing around the kitchen we had chosen together, renovated together, lived in together. The one we bought when we were practically kids, the one we poured our sweat and love into, the one where we raised our children. It's going to be sold, and you will give me half of the proceeds. And I will make sure the market is favorable when it goes on sale. I will make sure we get top dollar. Or if I choose to keep it, you will buy me out for fair market value, and that will mean taking out a significant loan if you can even get one on your new single salary. Either way, this house, this symbol of our shared life, will become a financial transaction, and you will pay for your desire to walk away from it. He still hadn't said anything. He just stared, his face pale. And our retirement accounts, Mark? The ones we've diligently contributed to for all these years, planning for a comfortable future together? I want half. Our investment portfolio? Half. Your pension? Half of everything accumulated during our marriage. Every single cent of shared wealth will be divided, and I will hire the best divorce attorney money can buy to ensure that I am not just taken care of, but that I receive every single thing I am owed, legally and morally, for the time I invested, for the sacrifices I made, for the future we planned. I could see the dawning horror in his eyes. He probably imagined a quick, easy exit, a tearful farewell, and a new, unburdened life. He was about to learn that getting alive again was going to be an incredibly expensive venture. And let's not forget about our children, Mark. I continued, my voice now laced with a steely edge. Emily and Ben are adults, yes, but they still deserve stability. They deserve to know their father is still their father, not some flighty man who abandoned their mother because he preferred a younger model. Child support isn't an issue, thankfully, but you will continue to contribute equally to any future expenses, like their graduate school or any unexpected medical emergencies. And your relationship with them? You want to know what it will cost you? It will cost you their respect, their trust, and potentially their presence in your new, vibrant life. Because they're not stupid, Mark. They will see you for exactly who you are, a man who threw away 25 years of loyalty for a fleeting fantasy. And that, my dear husband, is a price you can't put a monetary value on. I walked over to the dining table and picked up a framed photo of us from our 20th anniversary, laughing, looking genuinely happy. You want to erase 25 years? You want to pretend none of this happened? Go ahead. But I won't. I will remember every single minute, every promise, every shared dream, and I will use every single memory, every piece of evidence of our partnership to ensure that when you walk out that door, you walk out with significantly less than you think you're entitled to. You think you're getting a fresh start? You're getting a fresh start that is financially crippling, emotionally devastating, and deeply isolating. You will have to build everything from scratch with a significant portion of your past wealth gone, because that wealth was ours. It was built on our foundation, on our sacrifices, on our 25 years of working together. And you will pay for trying to dismantle it. I placed the photo back down, carefully, deliberately. So, Mark, I said, finally letting a hint of the true pain seep into my voice, but it was a cold, controlled pain, not a pleading one. You want someone younger? You want a new life? Go for it. But when you look at her, when you're starting over, remember the price you paid. Remember what you threw away. Remember the 25 years, and the woman who stood by you through thick and thin, who built an empire with you, and who is now going to ensure you feel the full impact of your choice. He stood there, mouth agape, utterly speechless. The color had completely drained from his face, replaced by a ghastly pallor. His shoulders, which had been slumped in guilt, now seemed to buckle under the weight of my words. He tried to speak, tried to form a protest, an excuse, a defense, but nothing came out. He just stared at me, his eyes wide with a mixture of shock, fear, and something that looked a lot like regret. He realized, in that moment, that his fresh start wouldn't be a clean slate, but a messy, expensive, and emotionally draining uphill battle. He realized that abandoning our 25 years came with a cost far greater than he had ever anticipated. He had wanted to escape our shared history, but I had just made sure that our shared history would follow him, in the form of legal battles, financial losses, and the crushing weight of his own choices. He had expected tears, emotional pleas, a breakdown. Instead, he got a calculated, icy enumeration of the consequences. And that, I believe, is what truly left him speechless. The realization that I wasn't just a heartbroken wife, but a formidable opponent who understood the rules of the game he had just forced us into. The aftermath, as expected, was messy. He did leave, of course. He tried to argue, to negotiate, to minimize my demands, but I held firm. My lawyer was indeed the best, and we meticulously went through every single asset, every single detail, ensuring that I received everything I was entitled to. It was a brutal process, emotionally draining and financially complex, but I refused to back down. I saw it through to the end. The house was sold, and I found a beautiful, smaller place that felt like mine, truly mine, for the first time in years. The financial settlement was substantial, enough to ensure my future security and independence. Our children, Emily and Ben, were, understandably, devastated by their father's actions. But they also saw my strength, my resolve, and my refusal to be a victim. They rallied around me, offering their love and support, and in time, their relationship with their father became strained, distant, a direct consequence of his choices. He did feel alive again, I suppose, for a little while, with his new, younger girlfriend. But I heard through mutual friends that his new life was not the carefree paradise he envisioned. The financial strain was immense, the judgment from his old circle of friends was palpable, and the initial excitement of a new relationship couldn't erase the deep-seated guilt and regret that gnawed at him. He realized, perhaps too late, that 25 years of genuine partnership, of shared history and unwavering support, was worth far more than any fleeting sense of aliveness. He tried to apologize later, to explain, to reconcile, but the bridge was burned. What he shattered couldn't be put back together. I am healing, slowly but surely. I am building a new life for myself, one step at a time, filled with new passions, new friends, and a renewed sense of self-worth. It wasn't the future I envisioned 25 years ago, but it is a future built on my own terms, on strength, and on the hard-won lesson that my value is not dependent on someone else's fickle desires. So, that's my story. It's a harsh one, a painful one, but it's also a story of resilience and standing up for yourself when your world crumbles. If you've ever been through something similar, or if you simply resonate with my journey, please like this video. It helps me know I'm not alone in sharing these raw, personal experiences. And if you want to hear more stories of betrayal, strength, and unexpected turns, then hit that subscribe button right now. Most importantly, I want to hear your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section below. What would you have done? Was my response justified? Share your experiences and perspectives. I genuinely want to read them all. Thank you for listening to my story. I'll see you all in the next one.